Adrian stopped reading before the chapter ended, not deliberately. He simply realized he had been holding the book too close, his elbows drawn in and shoulders tense as though proximity mattered. The hour before dawn did not belong to the living. He reread the sentence twice, his irritation flaring. It was a good line, he thought. Too good, though. It was the kind of sentence that lodged itself without asking permission. He lowered the book slightly and glanced at the clock on his phone. 0417 glowed back at him. This unsettled him more than he expected, because hadn't been aware of the time slipping away. The flat was quiet in the particular way it only ever was in the early hours. The city did not asleep, exactly, but no longer was announcing itself. The hum beneath everything was always there, pipes cooling and distant traffic reduced to something like breath. He told himself the timing was coincidence because books found rhythms where none existed. Still, he didn't turn the page back. The rooftop, the stage pulsing. Recognition, that word echoed. He knew stages, not metaphorically but physically, like the way the wood carried vibrations long after the sound was gone, and the way empty venues could feel louder than full ones if you stayed long enough after the lights went out. He had felt that pulse before. It wasn't supernatural or mechanical. It was memory lodged in materials. His jaw tightened. The figure on the roof troubled him more than Valen did. Not the androgyny, not the vagueness, but the way they spoke as though this was administration, oversight and scheduling. The junction wasn't meant to open this early. Early according to what, Adrian thought. He rubbed his face with both hands, dragging himself back into his body. He felt tired, starting the book far too late than he normally would. That was all this was, he thought. Fatigue making patterns feel intentional. He exhaled slowly, forcing his shoulders to drop and his jaw to relax. He glanced back at the page, his eye catching on a line he hadn't noticed before. It isn't blood, not at first. It's attention, memory, and time. This stopped him cold. Because it wasn't poetic, it was precise. That was the problem with this book, he thought. It didn't speak in the grand language of curses or sacrifice. Instead, it spoke in the small, believable currencies of everyday erosion. The things people gave away without noticing. His attention. His time. He thought of the way he'd read the last 2 chapters without checking his phone, the way he'd stopped skimming and the way the world had narrowed, just slightly, around the pages. Annoyance flared within him again, but defensive this time. "You're projecting," he said aloud, the sound of his voice grounding and faintly embarrassing in the quiet room. He shut the book, more firmly than necessary, and set it face down on the table. The cover was cool beneath his palm, seeming ordinary. Nothing pulsed. He stood up and stretched. Walking to the window, he caught a glimpse of his reflection, messy dark hair, tired eyes. God, he said to himself, I look terrible. He looked out at the city. Dawn was beginning to gather, not light yet, just a subtle softening at the edge of the sky. The thinning hour, the book would have called it. He smiled quietly at the thought. Outside, Adrian could see a man cross the street with a backpack slung over one shoulder, seemingly heading somewhere with a purpose Adrian could only guess at. A bakery light flicked on. Life resuming on schedule, not normal. Adrian turned away from the window. As he did, a thought surfaced. Not a voice, not a whisper, just an alignment, sudden and undeniable. If you opened a door like that, you wouldn't feel it happen? You'd only notice what you stopped noticing afterward. The idea unsettled him enough that he picked the book back up. Not to read, but just to confirm where he was. Chapter 3. Halfway through. Exactly where he remembered stopping. He stared at the page for a long moment, then closed it again. Tomorrow, he said quietly. The word felt provisional. And as he finally lay back, eyes closing, he had the uncomfortable sense that the book was no longer waiting for him to continue. It was simply allowing him time to catch up.
It's called Freedom, the Dark One Enterprise. We talked and they told me the story.
Now listen to this. I'll tell you about Texas radio and the Big Beat. Soft, driven, slow and mad like some new language.